Hi there, and welcome to the Realm Architect tutorial series. This is video 3 out of a 5-part series, and today we'll be focusing on character creation and combat basics. In the last video, we showed you how to build up an encounter and make a map battle ready. However, we were missing one crucial thing, namely a player character token and character sheets. This is obviously an important part because adding the player character token to the map ensures full functionality and correct interaction with our other parts of the tool. So let's start where it always starts for players, in making a character. Currently, we don't offer any integrations with tools like D&D Beyond or any real quick way of importing your character into the application, but towards the future, obviously, we'll be adding those. This is a prototype, and I realize that if you're watching these in order, you'll hear this a lot. For those just joining, this is a prototype of a completely new kind of VTT tool that will be launching soon on Kickstarter, made by a small 3-man founder team, so don't expect the world from it just yet. But if you're interested in trying this out, our prototype is available via our website. The link is in the description down below. Now that being said, creating a new character in the application is not hard at all. See that big plus sign in the top left corner? Well, click that one and a new menu will open up. In this screen, you'll select your character's class and input its level, armor class, and HP. We finish this menu by giving the character a nice portrait that will generate his token and give it a name. Now to pick a class, just click on the drop-down menu and select the class you need. Then press Create to move on to the next menu, which is the Character menu. Here you can fill in all of the other information a character might need. For example, things like proficiency and initiative modifier can be filled in at the top of the first tab, as well as just below that you can fill in your ability scores. To fill in the ability scores, press the small box below to fill in the actual score, and the modifier will appear automatically on top, depending on the value you put in below. Below that, you'll find a list of all the skills that are currently present in the open game license of 5th edition D&D. You'll notice we already adjusted your bonus for you, so no need to worry about that. You'll have to mark the ones you took proficiency in yourself, however. On the left-hand side, you can see 6 tabs for other information. Currently, we are on the first one, and with everything filled in here, we can move on to the next one. This is the Backpack tab. Here, you can fill in all of the equipment and weapons your characters are not wielding or have gathered over the span of your campaign. In the future, we want to give you the tools to add items here directly from the item list in the codex, making this process a whole lot easier. And then clicking that item from this menu will open up the corresponding item page in the codex, saving you time again. Combining that with the ability to add any new item to the codex, and the possibilities for your storytelling are limitless. The top side of this tab is where you can keep track of the gold the character has gathered and on its person. To add an item to the backpack, press the plus button at the bottom right. This will open a new line in the backpack box where you can give the item a name, track its weight, quantity, and cost, as well as add some notes. Now switching over to the third tab, this is where we keep track of all of our specific proficiencies, languages, features, and feats that the character currently has. Again, due to time constraints, we couldn't implement this exactly the way we wanted, but its future intended functionality is to add feats straight from the codex and of course allow you to create your own classes with their unique feats as well. To add them to the box, press the plus button again and you'll be able to fill in the title and description to it. The fourth tab is where we input our race, racial traits, backgrounds, and backstory. For even more flavor, you can keep track of your enemies and allies. Same story as before, we wanted this to give you a list to pick out of, but decided to put the time into other features. Towards the final release, the goal is to absolutely give you the power to add your own races and backgrounds to the codex so you can more easily select them later in these menus for easier access. The fifth tab is where we keep track of our more combat-y stuff. We can add our spells here, as well as our types of attacks, and to add a spell to the list, press the plus button on the bottom right. You guessed it, this gives you another line in the menu that you can start filling in. You can add the spell's name, spell clause, effect, range, spell components, type, and whatever it takes to make it happen. We want to give you a better character sheet that makes it easier to read this, and again, add from the codex straight with the option to create your own additions. Attacks work the exact same way, where we input the attack name, range, damage, and weapon type, and add some notes to it. Below that, you can fill in the other actions that you could use during combat. The last step is where you fill in the descriptive details of your characters, as well as add your ideals, personality traits, bonds, and flaws. Now that we've done that, our character is finished and we can finally add it to the scene. To do so, just grab the artwork from the top left corner and drag it to the location you want to position the token. Instantly, you'll notice the viewing cone impacting the line of sight. On your main monitor, this won't have the biggest impact just yet, but if you look over to the second monitor, which is the player's point of view, you'll notice that they can see the tokens on the map. In the next video, we'll show our setup of running games over Discord or IRL and how our community is currently using it. But hopefully, you'll start to understand the potential we're putting out here. Alright, so for me, this default viewing cone isn't great. It is too narrow and definitely not long enough or deep enough for an interior area. So let's change that now by going to the menu we briefly saw earlier, and so we'll press the map editor button on the right hand side and then go to the light bulb. At the bottom of the menu, you'll see two sliders. I usually put the view range at 22. You can do that by just inputting the number up top for those interior type maps, and the cone width about 160 degrees. Now, with that done, we're ready to start combat. You might have noticed that there's a tab at the top of your UI that says init.tracker. And if you press that button, a bar will drop down from the top of the screen. It will show a number of open slots ready to be filled in. Now, to fill those, press the red crossed sword button and a new menu will pop open. This is the initiative menu, and it will always showcase all of the tokens on your current map, regardless of where they are standing, allegiance, or whatever else. This doesn't mean they are all participating in this combat, and currently we can see the 3 black bears and our own created token in this list. To add them to the initiative tracker, we'll mark them via the checkbox. You'll see them fill the slots at top when marking that box. To roll for initiative, press Roll All. This will initiate a roll for all the characters and order them accordingly. It will also have this super sweet custom physics rolling animation of dice flying across the screen. Now, to progress the initiative, let's say a player has taken their turn, the track goes from left to right and you manually press that button. And now we are ready to get combat going. From here, adjusting health bars to accommodate damage also is pretty easy. Let's say I cast a spell that did 5 damage to this bear over here. I click the token to open up the token menu, select the health bar, and input the new amount of health. In this case, 17 minus 5, or 19 minus 5 rather, is 14. Press enter and it will change automatically. Now you know everything about doing combat in our prototype and creating your party and filling in their character sheets. We'll see you in the next video, where we'll discuss not only our future plans, but also all of the other features we haven't included in the videos so far. See you then!